When Donald Trump declared his candidacy for president in the summer of 2015 in the lobby of Trump Tower, you all remember him saying this.
They're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
What you may not have noticed is that he also said this.
I love the Saudis. Many are in this building.
So with Saudi Arabia back in the headlines for all the wrong reasons, it's worth asking, what is the exact relationship between Donald Trump and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia? How financially compromised is the President of the United States? The alleged murder of Saudi journalist, US resident and Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi has prompted even US politicians who were big fans of the kingdom to speak out against it.
If it did happen, there would be hell to pay.
President Trump, though, doesn't really seem to give a damn.
We don't like it, and we don't like it even a little bit. But as to whether or not we should stop $110 billion from being spent in this country, knowing they have 4 or 5 alternatives, 2 very good alternatives, that would not be acceptable. Saudi Arabia, and I get along great with all of them. They buy apartments from me, they spend $40 million, $50 million. Am I supposed to dislike them? I like them very much.
I like them very much. But it wasn't just apartments that Trump sold to the Saudis. In 1991, Trump, who was then on the verge of bankruptcy, sold his yacht to Saudi Prince Walid bin Talal for $19 million. In 1995, that same Saudi prince joined other investors in a $325 million deal for Trump's failing Plaza Hotel. And in 2001, the property mogul sold the 45th floor of Trump World Tower, the whole floor, to the Saudi government for $4.5 million. But it's not just about the Saudi money he got before he entered office. It's also about how Trump has behaved with Saudi Arabia since coming to power. Previous presidents sucked up to the kingdom too, but most of them in recent decades made their first official foreign trip to either Canada or Mexico. But Donald, well, he decided to first go to Saudi Arabia, where he did a little sword dancing with the royal family. The guy with the gold apartment wanted to go see the kingdom's bling and its shiny orb up close and personal.
I have always heard about the splendor of your country and the kindness of your citizens, but words do not do justice to the grandeur of this remarkable place.
The Saudis have repaid that visit and that praise with cold, hard cash. Yes, as president, Trump has been getting paid by the guys who may have murdered Jamal Khashoggi. Oh yeah, and bombed the crap out of Yemen. Saudi lobbyists spent $270,000 at the Trump International Hotel in Washington last year. Saudi bookings at Trump Chicago went up by 169% in the first half of 2017. And after 2 years of falling revenues, the Trump International Hotel in Manhattan posted a 13% increase in room revenues in the first quarter of this year. How so? A last-minute visit to New York by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, wrote the general manager in an internal letter leaked to the Washington Post. I know, other governments have been accused of having financial ties to the Trumps as well, from the Russians, to the Chinese, to the Turks, to the Qataris, to the Israelis, and it would be foolish to see this weird love affair between Trump and the Saudis only through the prism of Trump's bottom line. There's also the fact that Saudi Arabia is a partner against Iran, who Trump can't stand. The Saudis are despots, and Trump loves a good despot. There's also, of course, the oil that Saudi Arabia sells and the US weapons that Saudi Arabia buys. But the reality is that money makes the Trump world go round. And remember, we still haven't seen any tax returns. So right now, from where I'm standing, it really does look like the Saudis have bought and paid for the services of one Donald J. Trump, who just happens to also be the President of the United States.